Testing. All right. Quick one. I just have a little bit of time laying around. Merry Christmas to you all. It's New Year's Eve. As you can see, I'm dressed up. In a few minutes, I'll be heading out to church. But I wanted to do a quick one really quickly on this EMEKA IKE stuff. There's quite a lot going on, and I thought maybe I could get some. Because again, if I don't do it right now, other things might happen. By the way, later on we do have a show with my wife at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. All right. And good morning to you. Good morning, good afternoon if you're in the UK. Good afternoon if you're in Nigeria. All right. Merry Christmas. All right. So let's talk about this. Can you hear me? If you're listening to me, please let me know you can hear me. As a matter of fact, let me check myself. Make sure that all is well. Let's see here. All right, so we're just going to extract some quick lessons real quickly. Let's see. There you go. All right, so the sun is talking. If you haven't seen our previous coverage of the EMEKA IKE show, please go ahead and check it out. Let's see. All right, good. Just wanted to make sure the audio is good. All right, so if you haven't seen the previous, but this one is talking, so we're just gonna play some of those videos, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Let's see. There you go.
Time that you're ever speaking up on this issue in the media, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Her husband has made heavy accusations that she has withheld his children from him, that she has crippled his businesses.
If he claims I took his properties, go to court. When my mother died, he arrested me. My mother was 2 weeks in the mortuary. I was in SARS, Ikeja, area F, Abi, area H. No, after I had left, you understand. He said I absconded with his children and everything.
That she has attacked his career and insinuated that people are after his life.
He was threatening to kill me. This man almost poured hot cooking oil on me at the time. He will carry knife and he will be walking up and down the house. I will just kill you and nobody will know.
Jesus Christ.
Nobody will find out.
She reached out to me to tell her side of the story.
Last time that he did beat me up and I was almost paralyzed, that was when I decided that I need to go. But still, I stayed 2 more years after that. But
he beat you until you were almost paralyzed.
Yes, he did.
Incidentally, a few weeks ago I had confirmed EMEKA as a guest, but couldn't schedule it because our season recordings were ending. EMEKA was invited to talk to me and he agreed. Unfortunately, at the last minute, he had another engagement and he has said he will make it again. But today, we have an emotional roller coaster of a conversation with Susan, his ex-wife, and their son, their first son, Michael.
When I met my mom, the first thing I said was I really hate my father.
When you met your mom for the first time?
I had to start working on him.
Whatever you think of this story, it is going to shock you. It is going to shock you deeply. This is the
All right, so let's talk about that really quickly. One of the things that I want to talk about really quickly is the comments, okay? The comments, let me even see. I think Shion said something here. Hold on. Hold on. All right, so sorry I didn't go live on Instagram first. Now I'm live on Instagram, but anyway. The first thing I want to talk about is the comment area. The comment area is just sad. A lot of comments I'm seeing is just very, very sad. Not on any particular sides, okay? Anytime I see a comment that seems to be picking sides, they're not getting the lessons. Yeah, it's just, everybody is trying to play judge. And that's not what the lessons are, man. You're not going to learn anything. But I get it. I guess it's not your matter until it becomes your matter, right? It's not, EMEKA IKE is not your husband until he becomes your husband, right? His wife, Susan, Emma, something like that. She's not your wife until he becomes your wife. This boy, this young man, young fine man, Michael Ike, is not your son until it's your situation, right? It's just sad. But anyway, I'm looking at Shion, who was our guest here yesterday, who did fantastically well, being our guest here yesterday as part of the pre-launch of the book, Number One Red Flag. She's leaving she has a comment here. She said, look through the comments. Note how most men responded, and you wonder why we hammer on the prevalence of learned narcissistic tendencies in the patriarchal society. We have such a long way to go. Such a long way. She's right. She's right. But a lot of women are taking EMEKA's side too, you know. The one particular thing that's wrong, I'm going to call you outright wrong if you're taking sides on this, because you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Any one of these three parties could be anybody's family member. All right? Any one of them could be your family member, and I bet your side will switch just because they're your family member, or forget that, just because you can relate with one side more than the other person. But that's not the lessons. It's an indication that you have a hard time being objective, right? And again, there's nothing, you're not alone. A lot of people are like that. But I'm looking at some of these comments. Somebody said, first time you met your mom, hasn't she been your mom? You're off confusing me. Well, the reality is that she left them. She left the two older kids with him because he insisted that the only way, allegedly, because he insisted that the only way she could see them is if she came back to the house. If a woman wants to leave you, she wants to leave. Why would you want that woman? See, the lessons here are not about taking sides, about who is wrong or right. Again, you're not God. You're not a judge. So you don't know because you were not in that situation. But one thing, they will know some stuff. Like, for example, if a woman, okay, we don't even know if this is, like what I'm saying right now may not even be applicable to EMEKA IKE. But let me tell you, gentlemen, if a woman wants to leave you, your best chances of keeping your family together is to let her go. I know that's not common sense. Okay, I get it. Your best chances of keeping your family together, which may or may not include her, is to let her go. Write that down and take that to the bank. If you try to manipulate her to come back with your children, it will backfire. Will it work? Because you're forgetting that another human being is involved. She's like a whole nother human being altogether. Yes, you're supposed to be one, but clearly you're not one because she wants to leave. Right? Just look at your results and then move from that point forward. Right? All right. So that's how a person's getting confused from. I'll come back to this comment because some of this comment. Let me play what the boy had to say really quickly. I keep saying the boy, but this young man, EMEKA IKE's son. Let me see here.
Michael, go and jump in front of...
All right. So not this one. There's another video that I'm looking for. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see.
I was just like,
this one.
I'm not trying to, you're not understanding where I'm coming from. And he just kept going, okay, daddy, okay, papa. And then he said whether she wants siblings so that it will be like it's only him that is alive. Let himself kill. Everyone should just kill. Who says they can kill themselves together?
All right. So by themselves. Does that not look like the EMEKA IKE you've seen over the past few days? Okay, this man is still very angry with what happened to him and his family. The part that is missing is that whatever happened to him, not just him, but his family, part of his identity, which is why he's angry, because he wouldn't be that angry if that family was not part of his identity as a person, as a man. But it's easier said than done, when you feel like the person that's the closest to you did you really badly, right? But that's your responsibility as the leader of that household. And your responsibility does not start at an end where everything is good. It actually starts when there's crisis, when you're being tested, when everything seems discombobulated. That's when your responsibilities start. That's when your responsibilities start, when there's crisis. How do you react to crisis? Your reactions are your actions. You're responsible for them, especially if you want to be the leader of that situation. Yeah. Shout out to Abigail. Abigail Sunday says, I don't think the audio should have been released. He shouldn't have just said anything though. I know. But he did. You know, he did. Right? And whenever there's a problem with a nation, we look at one figure. Right? We tend to look at one figure and say, hey, who's responsible for this? That's where the statement, who's responsible, comes from. The nation will point at one person. Right? So if anything happens to Nigeria right now, we're going to look at one person. We're going to be like, hey, what's going on?
Different from blue, Bulaba.
Right? We look at the president of the country. We look at the head of the household. That's the way it works. And then it gets worse. The more angrier, the more out of control the leader gets, the more we look at them like, the more an indication like, oh, no wonder. Right? It's not about judging EMEKA IKE. It's about you learning your lessons from this. If you ladies, if you can't find yourself respecting your man, something is wrong. You need to stop everything and figure that out before you move forward, because it will get worse from there. Because the devil comes for the head. Right? Well, the enemy comes for the head. Right? If you want to kill an enemy, you go for the head. You take the head out. Then everything will break down from there. Right? It's not a matter of fault. You can call it fault if you want. But the point is that we have to look at the head. And it was obvious. And the head in this scenario opened the can of worms. So when the head loses its control, it's like the car losing its steering, right? Or the human being loses his brain, like the head of a human being, like everything comes from there. The blood flows and come back and forth, oxygen from the brain, right? You can even still replace the heart, right? You can do heart transplant. You heard that before, right? But have you ever heard of head transplant before?
Yeah, children. He said he has other kids my age around the world. And I was like, guy, okay, is that supposed to faze me? Okay. The next morning, I got a 10-minute video. It's not the first time. He's always sending me videos, insulting my life. You're doing music, you will never prosper. I'll see you on the side of the road and I'll see you. Don Jazzy will never see you, blah, blah, blah.
So your father said to you?
Hold on. He kept going, sending more VNs. About 8 VNs. I sent them to my mom. My mom couldn't even listen to it. She was trying to calm me down. I'm trying to calm her down. I was so surprised, man. I was like, this can't be someone I should be proud of. I started thinking like, what do I do when I bring a woman home or kids? Who is going to, this guy will bless my kids for me? Like, I don't understand. Started making me get scared that am I going to have issues like this when I grow up?
What do you want your dad to do or stop doing?
Nothing. I don't want anything from him. I don't want anything from him. I think it's 4 days ago, I realized I don't want anything from this man. He told me to go crush my head by a truck, right? That was the line for me. I'm dead to this man. I don't want anything from him.
I'll ask you this because you know how Nigerians are on social media, so I want to preempt that question. People will say that your mother has turned you against your dad, and that's why we are here talking. How do you respond to that?
When I met my mom, the first thing I said was I really hate my father.
When you met your mom for the first time?
Michael, go and drop in front of a truck right now.
Trigger alert, trigger alert.
Now, go and drop in front of. Jump from where you are, break your head and smash it. You're my stress. You're my problem. You're the one I sent to school. I spent all my money that I didn't have. I was just getting money to save you. You jump and took my children out and gave them.
Let me pause that for a second. Right? Shout out to Abiba. Abiba says, I think you underestimated his wife. No, I did not underestimate the wife. If you know me well enough. This is precisely, Abiba sounds like a woman. This is precisely why I say be careful of Obìnrin. Obìnrin will tell you underestimated us. Gentlemen, that's not your point of leverage. You never want to take your focus off of your ability to influence everything. You never want to take your focus off of that. The moment you leave that throne and you take your focus off of the power of influence that you have, yeah, she takes over. Yeah, absolutely, she takes over. And then she will come back and tell you that, be careful of us. And then you will take your eyes off of the balls again. And then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Ori lejatin wa. It starts from the head. Right? And, distractions are enticing. They look like they make sense. Right? Like on paper, if you go to the court, if you look at common sense, it makes sense. But never take your eyes off the ball, gentlemen, if you want to be the head. If she's moving some type of way, it's your responsibility, okay? Find out why before you react. What you're looking at right now on the screen, this audio I'm playing, is the reaction of a man who took his eyes off the ball. He's even confused. He doesn't even know who to blame. Now in this audio, he's saying his son, his own seed is distressed. And he's telling him to go and jam truck. And then in the other videos is the mother who is influencing them. Which one is which one? It's confusing. Why? Because you took your eyes off the ball instead of you to look at your cards, your dealt, including all the crisis that comes with it, and say, hey, this one is happening. Why is this problem here? As opposed to blame that thing, you take your eyes off the ball. Right? You take your eyes off the ball. You gotta pay attention. It looks enticing. It looks very, very, like the distraction looks enticing, But I'm glad Abiba said, I meant EMEKA. Yes. EMEKA we're not judging him. We're saying, gentlemen, all the EMEKAs out there, never take your eyes off the ball. There'll be more than enough events going on around you that you can judge and blame and say it's their fault. It's the wrong move. That's not how you play the game of life. You will lose. You'll be a loser all the time. Every time you do that. And then you will still be right.
Well, you're right.
But that's not the goal. Okay, that's not the goal. The goal is to win, not be right. Okay? When you win, everybody think you're right anyway. Right? Don't be obsessed with being right. So, no, Abiba, what you said was very clear. You said you underestimated the wife. I'm not sure. Was very clear. No, we're not underestimating the wife. We're overestimating the wife. That's what we're doing. Okay? Women don't have a choice but to submit to the way that you see yourself. When they see a mission, a vision, they submit. Okay? If she's not submitting, you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. You can let her go, remember? If she's not aligning with your mission, just let her go. Take care of her children. Take care of her for your own good. You're not taking care of her for her. You're taking care of her for her because you have to keep your home together because you want to be the head, right? And then taking care of her does not mean you spend all your livelihood like he claimed, that because you will come back and be telling us, I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that, I built a house I built a house for her mother. You be saying all this nonsense, and then you go just no evidence.
You go explain because no evidence.
You go, shall I get tired? Because you did those things for you. You were feeling good when you were doing it. You thought you were the king. You need to keep that same energy when everything falls apart. How do you react to crisis? It's what matters. You're right. It's easier said than done. That's why it is highly rewarding when you figure this out. Everything else, you remain a loser. Kind of sort of like Uncle EMEKA is right now. It's a bad look for him. Don't you agree? Never mind what your opinion is. It's a bad look for him. Don't you agree? Oh, yeah, it's a bad look for the son too and the child, exactly. But and
they are blackmailing me using you, and you're telling me I go and do that now. Don't do it tomorrow. I want to hear it. Think I'll let you blackmail me, and I will still get your mother. Oh.
I will still get your mother. What does that mean?
I will still get your mother. Oh.
Does that not sound like a very angry person? Imagine the head being that angry, right? Even when you want to go out there and fight war, imagine the person who is fighting war for your nation, who is supposed to protect you, being that angry. They will lose because the other side is not that angry. They're strategic. They're looking for the weak points, especially if it's in the head. They will shoot it down, and then it's a wrap. Then they invade your village and take over everything. And then a person or persons like EMEKA IKE say it's the fault of the woman and the children that they were invaded. It's not a matter of fault. Okay? But when you have a head that lacks self-control, emotional self-control, yeah, there's enemies out here everywhere. This is the real world. It's a dangerous place. They will invade and take over. Yes, and rightfully so. They look like media. They look like Chude. They might look like men of prestige because men of prestige is looking to extract the lessons for the prestige family so that they know what not to do. When there's crisis, inevitably there will be crisis in life. Calm down. Calm down. Because the devil is going to use your reaction precisely against you.
Is it Ken? Ken. Don't worry. The people behind this will hear from me.
From the beginning of this, when I started stumbling into this during the Robin Mind show, it was everybody's fault. Even since the demise of the industry in Nollywood, how they transferred from DVD to decoder, it was somebody else's fault. What about if we make fault irrelevant? Right? What about if you hold yourself accountable? If you say, hey, what could I have learned from that situation to make sure it doesn't happen to me again? Maybe I should stay in touch with technology, make sure I'm top of technology, make sure when things are evolving, I'm in the front of it. If you pay attention to what we're doing right here, right now, we're paying attention to the shorts because the shorts are going viral. So we're putting out shorts on a daily basis, short videos, reels, right? Because we try our best. You can't cover everything. We try our best to be on the forefront of everything. Instead of me sitting here and arguing, I say, what works for me is long live streams. I say, that worked too, but it's working now. By the time it stopped working, it might be too late before I start to pay attention. By the time I start paying attention to emotional health, mental health, right? It might be too late. You might have lost your children, your family. Children might have learned bad behavior and then continue the same legacy into their own family, right? It's not a matter of blaming anybody. That's such an anti-seductive thing to do. Picking sides, judging, say, hey, it's the woman's fault, it's the woman's fault. No, it's not a matter of fault. It's a matter of what you shouldn't do. What can you learn from this so that you don't replicate this in your family? The answer is not to pray. No, you should pray and work. You need both. Faith without work, it's useless. It's the side of the scriptures.
Don't wait for me to kill you. My hand not supposed to touch you. Go and kill yourself because you're
I was just like, no, dude.
All right, so I'm seeing. Let me just go through some of this comments, and then we'll round up in a few minutes. This is just a very, very short one because it was boiling in my heart, and I felt like I needed to share. You know. I see Daddy Freeze here says, see us speaking resemble. I guess resemble. He wants to say him, Papa. Marriage is not easy, or the children won't really understand. No, he's probably just as confused. That's correct. The child is confused, you know. Somebody said taking your son to interview to discuss your family issues has to go down as the most ridiculous decision ever made in 2023. Does that look like a little boy to you? Does that, whoever is saying that, does that look like a little boy? Really? No, that doesn't look like a little boy to me. And then of course it makes sense. Like the woman need, especially a woman that was married before, she continues to need companionship, a husband, and a lot of times they just make their oldest son or even their oldest daughter. Remember Ifeanyi's story, Paula Ifeanyi's story. They might make that person the emotional tampon, the person that they yield to as the support, as a companion, right? So again, if you want to judge her, knock yourself out. But that's not the lesson. What you should look at is like, well, he's now the husband. But that's what happens when the head of the household cannot get himself together. In addition to the fact that there's a lot going on with them, they probably can't think straight with everything, right? It's just the reality. The reality is the result we are creating, not what should have, could have, what should have been. What you're looking at is what it is, right? That's what it is. But that boy is not a boy. That's a young man right there, you know. And she probably felt safer bringing her along. When people feel safer, they might do the wrong thing. When it comes down to survival, people might do the wrong thing just to survive. Is that justifying it? Justification is, again, related to judgment. That's not where the point of leverage is. That's not how you think about these issues. Okay? Nobody's justifying anybody. We're pointing out what it is for you and then what you shouldn't do in the beginning, right? What should the woman have done? Probably she should stay in therapy, right? But it's only people that their head is correct that goes to therapy too, right? But again, the enemy will go for the head. And he uses all types of distractions, precisely enticing distractions to take down the head. That's what you should pay attention to here. If you have a son, this is a very dangerous world, but it's a beautiful world when they figure it out, when they become leaders, right? What you can teach them now, or what you can understand about that situation, is that you don't get to control the narrative. The reality is that men are, they have the custody of this world, and if when they do things wrong, everything falls apart. Everything falls apart. And it's like very tricky, because sometimes when they do things wrong, they claim they do it because they were reacting to something else. Your reactions are your actions. Every action is a reaction to something. That is a terrible excuse. Are you paying attention? It's a terrible excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse, especially for men. You're taking sides. Why is it the man's fault? See, you just went to the fourth direction again. Let me just paste it on the screen so you can see it. Okay? These are your poisons right here. Judgment, condemnation, guilt. These are the poisons. These are not our point of leverage. When you bring these elements, these 10 elements into the situation, when you bring these 10 elements, you're not helping matters. Okay, and it's very easy to confuse number one with what we're doing today. I don't know EMEKA IKE. I don't know him. All we can do is see him as a public figure and learn from this situation. The point here is that the head, if you consider yourself the head of that household, the enemy will come for you, and he will entice you with this. Okay, it will say you're right.
Oh, you're right.
He will say you're right. He will entice you with that. And then you will move mad. You will destroy everything you cooked up because you're right. Pay attention. Pay attention. Nani, shout out to Nani. Say, I've all liked. Please press the like button. Thank you. Thank you, Nani. I appreciate you. You should have just focused on the movie he's doing. I feel bad for. Yeah, they should have. Correct. You know, and there's a way you can also, because we like to know into, there's a way you can talk about people in your family without dragging them, out of self-respect for yourself. But he couldn't help himself because, again, the devil, the enemy, has attacked him as the head already. It was too late, you know. Well, Emeka woke up a sleeping dog. Adebu Sahana, how you doing? The wife, I will still get your mother statement is a threat. Yeah. Right? Gentlemen, somebody says they will attack your mother. Your natural instinct is to protect them. You probably you're not hearing that for the first time. You probably will say, hey, you're not going there by yourself. I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you. Even if that's mixed up with everything else, like he wants to do music, I want to put myself out there, all of that becomes just additional layers of confusion, right? You're right, it could be. But that's what happens when the devil attacks the head. See, I'm not blaming EMEKA, it's the enemy's fault. That's why the head must be careful. He uses enticing stuff like obsession with being right. Okay? All the issues is in court documents for public consumption. He's a big fat liar. Yeah, that was obvious to me from day one. I'm glad that's coming out now. People have to just take responsibility for their mistakes and move on. Yep. Picture evidences and all. At this point, I think EMEKA is going cray intervention. He needs to stop. He needs to stop the bleeding. It's the first chapter in our book. Get my marriage back. The devil will attack the head. Well, the next level of head. Once after he attacked the head, he will attack the next head. What is the next head in this situation? This is still a young man. I don't know his age. The mother. So he will attack. When he attacks them, he doesn't attack them physically the way most people think, the way most victims think. He attacks their mindset. He makes them think they are right because they are looking at surface level common sense bullshit. I'm right. I know I'm right. It's my right. Baba, there's no rights anyway. It's all privilege, yo. The devil will attack you and take over everything. Invade your household, your territory. Whose fault is that? It is not a matter of fault. Forget about fault. It's just what will happen when you don't pay attention. Okay? The enemy is always looking for the cracks in the world to come in. Okay? And if he comes to you, if you're a Jesus freak and he comes to you and say, I am the enemy, you know, you're like, that's the enemy, you avoid it. No, he will come to you looking like Jesus. Are you paying attention? Okay? All right, good. The truth is, when children grow up, they begin to understand the dynamics and who really was at fault, and bad character can't be hidden for long. Children know more than you think. They know, but they don't necessarily know who is at fault. Children do know, but children also have their own experience. They're also human beings who came here by themselves. They might have come through you, biologically speaking, but they will go through their own crisis. Even if they come from a perfect family, precisely when they come from a perfect, seemingly perfect family, the enemy comes for them even more. You know, you didn't see this one coming. It comes for them even more. The one who come from the streets, that one, the enemy is like, this was my corner already. But the one who come from a seemingly perfect family, that's the one that needs to watch out more, right? So they're going to deal with their own trauma and stuff like that. But as far as who was at fault, it's not relevant. It's never relevant. The who was at fault thing is never relevant. That's when children start to pick sides with their parents, they also fall prey to the tactics of the enemy. Same thing. Because these are relationships at the end of the day. Relationship with your children, with your uncle, with your sister, your niece, your nephew. It's the same thing. Fault, blame. If you're a child, you approach your relationship with your parents from a standpoint of blame and fault, you will fail. You self go collect. I wasn't ready.
Sorry.
Yeah. The enemy is the enemy for a reason, right? It's serpent. Are you paying attention? He uses the mindset, not the common sense nonsense. He uses your mindset. If you're a blunt speaker and I'm assertive, he uses that. If you're a softie and you never speak up, he will use that. He will use your blind spot. We gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. I'm rounding up. I just wanted to come here real quickly and drop this. We're doing about 34 minutes already. I'll round about 2 minutes. Shout out to you all for being here. The truth is, when children, okay, we already covered that. Abigail, shout out to you, Abigail. Adebusala says, this woman watched and heard him run his mouth for 10 years without talking. Now that she decided to speak up, he's losing his mind. I am confused. Yeah, me too. But it makes sense to me. That's why we should all be careful. On your coffee break, hello. I didn't have to hear the wife to know who EMEKA is. From his interview, I could see a yeye man. He then crowned it up with your View interview. Yeah, right. You saw his conduct. It's a man who doesn't know what he's doing. When the head doesn't know what he's doing, everything falls apart. Everything. No, remember, no, never mind whose fault. But when the head does not know what they're doing, everything will fall apart. What the head is. It could be a woman, a man, a child. When the head does not know what it is doing, I use it now. It could be a thing. Everything will fall apart. Okay? So now you're looking for where to dish. Where should the blame go? Where's the fault? Even you yourself, you're looking for where to dish blame. You go collect.
Sorry.
That's not where the lesson is. The lesson, there's so many moving variables at any point in time. So you have to find your point of leverage. Because when you take care of that point of leverage, that's called a downstream effect. Everything will fall in place. But when you miss the point of leverage and you're looking for the only side of your brain that works to assign blame to the other side, you collect. That's the life is like there's 8 billion people here. You think you can just dish blame on one side and be okay? Go and look at all the comments. All those men, right, that think it will never be me. This man, blame the woman. And all those people that say blame somebody, all of them will collect. Everybody that saying blame somebody will collect. Mark my words. I'll point them out every time I see them here, okay? EMEKA appears angry and has significant unresolved issues. Yes. And remember, he's the head. Including after the divorce, he remains the head because they're yielding to him. What did the wife say? The wife said, well, the woman have been abusing me even though I left 10 years ago. Why? She's still yielding to him. That's why I said after divorce, it's not the end. It's not the over. Your ex is still part of your life, especially if children are involved. Even as the child says, I don't want anything to do with him. No, it's a lie. It's part of the identity, sadly. Everything they do henceforth from here on out will be affected by the very being of EMEKA. EMEKA does not understand how much of a king he's supposed to be. He fell from his throne. And what the devil used is his mindset. The devil deceived him that he's always right. No one is always right. No one, literally. Right? And so anytime I feel like I'm right, I'm like, bro, where's the blind spot? Something is off, right? I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm just yielding to a higher person, right? I try to stay humble because humility is one of the hardest things for human beings to do, because we know what we do, especially if you know books and you're smart and all that. Like, no one can tell you nothing. You can read it, you can go and Google and chat GPT it, right? And you feel like you know it all. Yeah, that's where the devil comes from. EMEKA needs help. Serious counseling. The drug use is for something. He needs to humble himself and seek help. It's like you were taken out of my mouth on your coffee break. It's painful when the father goes to the public to say things about his children that are not true. It could be true. It's still wrong. Now, this is one thing. We're going to leave it at this one right now here today. It could be true. Whatever you're about to say about your children could be true. But Baba, you go collect.
Sorry.
These monitoring spirits are powerful. They will take over. They will use your truth against you. Are you getting it? Everybody's right.
You're right.
Everybody's also wrong. Right? Your moral standards are good for you. That's about it. But there's a game you need to play here. Okay? You need emotional intelligence. You need social intelligence. You need power intelligence. You need self-intelligence. You need to understand seduction and attraction. You get it?
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
All right.
All right. Hopefully, hit that like button if you really enjoyed the short lessons this morning. Hopefully, you've been enlightened, educated. I'm about to go enjoy the rest of my Sunday with my family. We'll be back here, to come and chill, chat with my wife later on to talk about. She's going to tell us the story of how we met at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time. Nigerian time, probably 11 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Just do the math. Go to Google and ask what time it is. It's 5 p.m. New York time. Just ask Google, what's my time? 5 p.m. in New York time. It'll tell you what time it is. We'll be back later on, okay? Thank you. Thank you on your coffee break. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.